I have a question for you because I did a video,
Shoot.
my last recent lore video, where I was speculating when Kenshi 2 takes place
Hmm.
because in terms of we know it's 1,000 year back,
Yeah.
but do you think it's like right when Catlon was having his empire, like Catlon is the leader and this empire and everything's Gucci, or do you think it's before that?
Um,
Like, what
so
is your theory on that?
so they said it said about 1,000 years ago. And a lot of people have an idea that the Second Empire was still the empire was still booming as a whole during like 947 years ago, and they think that because the Armor King makes a comment that he founded his store in the booming Second Empire town of Catch. But one of the things that's important to understand about Kenshi's lore, specifically around the Second Empire, is unlike in the first, where things fell very quick. Like I've speculated that it happened like within a couple of days or a couple of weeks at most. The skeletons had a coordinated assault and they toppled the First Empire. And the Armor King himself actually makes comments that back that up. He talks about how that one fell rather quickly. It was fast, and then he says the Second Empire. It was nothing like the Second Empire. That one kind of rotted out from the like from the
Hmm.
inside. And what we know about the infrastructure for the Second Empire is that the United Cities was built on the infrastructure from the Second Empire. So a lot of those cities existed and were being used by the Second Empire. And then what happened was a gradual secession. They declared independence on a city level. Individual cities declared independence. And then those cities would
Hmm.
eventually come together and form a conglomerate under the emperor that would become the United Cities. But independent cities separated out. We don't know the time frame that happened. So even 1,000 years back, there could have been individual cities in the Second Empire that were still booming while the empire was
Hmm.
effectively rotting from the inside. I think what we're going to see,
Hmm.
Catelyn's empire in the middle of mass secession. Everyone's declaring
Hmm.
independence. The empire's still trying to hang on to the faint grasps of power that it has. And Catelyn still thinks that he's the emperor of the Second Empire. He still thinks he's in charge. And I think that one of the big enemy factions is going to be the Second Empire, effectively trying to
Hmm.
put down these secessions and these rebellions and maintain control. But I think we're going to see the empire as it's actively rotting and falling apart. I think we're going to see it right after a lot of cities have seceded, and we're going to see a lot of
Hmm.
smaller independent factions propping up, and that gives way for a ton of new factions to be interacted with. I think we're going to see Kenshi in a lot less unified state than we even see it in Kenshi 1 as a result of that too. Kenshi 1, despite having tons of factions, is in many ways still like largely unified. Big portions of the map are controlled by the Shek, the UC, and the Holy Nation. And I think
True.
we're going to see it even more fractured than that. And I think we're going to see Catalan's forces trying to hold on to the faint straws of power that they had, but are gone now.